Good morning, students. Welcome in this class. This is class 8, subject Social Science, and we are going to study History chapter 3, Ruling the Countryside. Yes, here countryside means related to rural areas or villages. Yes, friends, actually in this chapter we will read how East India Company, after becoming Diwan of Bengal, earned its revenues by formulating some new methods of revenue collections. So in this chapter we will learn about the new methods of revenue collections which were imposed by East India Company in Indian villages, and it is the first lecture of this chapter. And in today's lecture the topics which are to be discussed are like this. First is company became Diwan. Next one, revenue for the company. Next, the need to improve agriculture, permanent settlement, and Mehalwari system. Okay, so let's start today's discussion. Yes, students, land revenue policy. Actually, the chapter is focus on the three revenue policies or means tax collection policies which were introduced by East India Company in Indian villages. And these three revenue policies were like these. First is permanent settlement, second Raitwari settlement, and third one Mehalwari system. So now we will have a discussion on these new methods of revenue policies. Okay, yes. First topic, company became the Nawab. Yes, on 12 August 1765, the Mughal Emperor Shah Alam appointed the East India Company as the Diwan of Bengal. Yes, friends, as we have studied in our previous chapter, in chapter 2, Trade to Territory, that in 1764, Battle of Buxar was fought between Mir Qasim and East India Company, and in which Mir Qasim was defeated or killed by the British government or East India Company, and in place of him Shah Alam was appointed as the Nawab of Bengal. So when Shah Alam was appointed as the Bengal of Nawab, then he is granted the company as the Diwani right. And what was this Diwani right? Actually, Diwani right means the right of collection taxes. Means according to this, now the East India Company got the right of collection taxes from Bengal, or means from the farmers and the artisans in Bengal. This is there. Understood, beta? Yes. And this charter or this was signed by the Shah Alam and Robert Clive. So now the company became the chief financial administrators of Bengal, and when the company achieved the right of Diwani, the responsibility of administering the land and organizing its revenue also came on the shoulders of the company. So not only this, it had to ensure that it could buy the products it needed at cheaper rates and sell them at higher rates. Means after getting this right, now companies started to make new rules and regulations. Okay, in India, in the villages of India, like now company came to colonize the countryside. What does it mean? Means now the company started to interfere in the administration, means village administration also. Now they started to take the villages also means under their control, and they organize new revenue resources like agriculture, and they impose many high taxes also. They refine the rights of people also and produce the crop if it wanted, means they force the Indian farmers to grow those crops which were in great demand in Britain market, like fine quality of cotton and silk. Understood? Means in this way, means after when the company achieved the right of Diwani, when the responsibility of administering the land or organizing land also came on the shoulders of the company. So now the company started to or means buy the Indian products at very cheaper rate and sold them at sold them back in Indian market at high rates. And in this way, the company were gaining a lot of profit. Understood? And over the years, the company had also learned how to play safe in unknown land, means India. Now here, actually what I mean is that company had to pacify those who were the early rulers of the countryside. It was not possible to eliminate them completely. So the company took some actions like he organized revenue resources, to yield crops they needed and colonizing the countryside, means three main action. Now they started to take the villages under their control, and now they organize or introduce new revenue policies, and to yield crops it needed, means they force the Indian farmers to grow those crops which were in great demand in Britain market. Okay, so now we will study about the revenues for the companies. Yes, now the company got the Diwani right, just we already discussed about it. So now it made efforts to increase the revenue as much as it could. Means now the company that decided or now started to make many efforts in which they could get more and more revenue, source of income. So for that, now company bought Indian goods as cheaply as possible. Means they bought the Indian goods at very low price and sold them in Indian market at very high price. And the revenue collected in Bengal could finance the purchase of goods for export. What does it mean? Yes, beta, actually though the company became Diwan of Bengal province, still it was working as a trading company. So it was not interested in setting up any regular system of assessment or collection of revenue. Their main aim was to increase revenue so that they have plenty of money to buy cotton and silk. But the prices of the goods had increased so far. So now, as we have studied in our previous chapter, that earlier the company was dependent upon the inflow of gold and silver from Britain for purchasing goods in India. But after 1765, things changed and now the revenue from Bengal was enough to purchase goods. What does it mean? Yes, beta, as I told in previous chapter also, in the early stage, the East India Company completely dependent on Britain government to purchase raw material from India. Means in early time in the starting, the company purchased Indian goods with exchange of gold and silver, means which came from Britain. But now after getting this Diwani right, now they had the source of income, and this means the source of income, this revenue means which they collected from the Bengal, means it revenue could finance the purchase of goods for exports and for their expenses also. Okay, and as I told beta that they imposed very high taxes also on the Indian farmers and artisans. So in this way that Bengal economic was facing a deep crisis. Okay, means the economic of Bengal faced a deep crisis. Why? Many reasons were there. Actually, first is their artisan, as I told that artisans and farmer left Bengal. Why? Because as they were being forced by the company to sell their products at cheaper rate. Okay, means the Indian farmers like Indian artisans, they were forced to sell their product at cheaper rate, and the farmer were forced to grow the crops which they wanted, which the company wanted in this way. So in this way means they started to leave the Bengal and shifted to any other place. Means they started migrate to other places. Understood? And in this way the agriculture were collapsing. So and the another thing happened actually in 1770, big famine occurred or hit the Bengal, and this killed about 10 million population there and means washing out about one third of the population of Bengal. So, as such incident took place which ruined the economic heavily, and the company then felt the need of improving the agriculture. Yes, the need to improve agriculture. Most of the company officials were of the view that there was a great need of investing in land and agriculture in order to improve it, because the fall in agriculture was resulting into great loss of revenue to the company. So therefore, after a long thinking in 1793, the company took the decisions of introducing the revenue collections method, which was known as permanent settlement. Yes, so this was the first, you can say, revenue system which was introduced by the East India Company to collect taxes. Now we will have a discussion on this permanent settlement. What was it? Yes, friends, permanent settlement. In 1793, the company finally introduced the permanent settlement, and it was introduced by Lord Cornwallis. And by the term of the settlement, the Rajas and Talukdars were recognized as Zamindar. Yes, means as according to this system, the Rajas and Talukdars were now known as zamindars, and they had to collect the rent from the farmers, and which was fixed permanently by the Britishers. And the main aim behind this was that zamindars would only pay the fixed amount to the Britishers, since the demand of revenue would not increase, and would invest into improvement of agriculture to generate extra income for themselves. Okay, and the system was beneficial for both zamindar as well as company also. Like now company had a regular source of income in India, and the system is permanent settlement. The other name of this permanent settlement was zamindari system also. So this system was beneficial for zamindar also, like without putting any efforts they were also getting from the farmers. Okay, but this system was very oppressive by the Indians farmer, as they had to pay a very high amount to the zamindars. Understood, students? Yes. So now, but problems with this system. Actually, it did not go as per the plan, and some problems were which was arose or faced by the East India Company related to this permanent settlement. And what were these problems? Yes, the permanent settlement actually, however, did not prove to be that useful as thought by the company. Soon it was discovered that zamindars were not investing in the improvement of land, because the rent fixed was so high that it became impossible for the zamindars to pay it off. So as a result, they were deprived of zamindaris. Yes, students, as I told you that zamindars were given the right of collection taxes from the farmers, and they had to pay a fixed high amount to the East India Company. And when they were unable to pay these taxes to the company, then their zamindaris was taken by the company, means they were deprived from zamindari. So even the zamindars were also put on exchange of the companies. So meanwhile, something new was noticed by the company, that the situation was changing as the prices of goods were also increasing and the agriculture was also expanding. So this led to benefit of zamindar, but for the company it remained the same as the revenue was fixed. Are you getting? Yes, like with the passage of time, the agriculture was expanding, and in which the productions was also increasing. So in this way, when production was increasing, means zamindar could get more from the farmers, but they had to pay a fix to the company. So in this way, means the company were getting fixed amount, but the zamindar were gaining more. So now, means, and after that the zamindar were not interested to improve agriculture condition, because they were gaining a lot without putting any efforts. So in the form of the rent that they obtained from the farmers. So on the other hand, the cultivator, means the farmers, found it very oppressive, as they had to pay very high rent to zamindars. So means they did not have ownership over the land, that they worked on. Then who were the owner of the land? Zamindars. So Zamindar were the owner of the land. So now that we have already know or discussed about the problems which were faced by the company regarding generation of revenue. So now a new system is introduced or new system is devised. So, and first before it I want to give a brief that discussions of the permanent settlement. What was this permanent settlement? First tax was collected by Zamindars. Zamindars was the owner of the land. He had to power to collect taxes. Farmers became the tenants and to pay up to 60% of the yield as tax. Yes friends, you can see that how much high taxes were imposed on the farmers. And even at the time of poor yield, means at the time of drought, when there were no production or very less production. So in that situation also the farmer had to pay the taxes. So understood about, and the taxes were fixed. And now, yes, here pictorial that diagram is shown here, in which it is shown that there are the three main categories of the permanent settlement: British government, Zamindar and peasants. Yes, peasants were the lower sections. After that, Zamindar were the owner or the head and the supreme power. That was British government. Yes. So now we will discuss about this new system, Mehalwari settlement. Yes friends, by the early 19th centuries, many of the company officials felt that it was impossible for the company to survive on the fixed amount of rent that it was getting, because now the expenses of the company had increased. Means now they needed more money for their expenses. So for that they decided to develop a new method of revenue collection, and which was known as Mehalwari. Yes, so in 1822 an Englishman, Holt Mackenzie, that means this Mehalwari system was introduced by Holt Mackenzie in 1822 in the areas of presidencies of Bengal, Delhi, Uttar Pradesh and Central India. So the Mackenzie felt that village was an important social institution for North Indian society and needed to be preserved. So therefore he developed a new method of revenue collection known as Mehalwari system, and in this system actually village headman was appointed who had given the right of collection taxes. Yes friends, this is the main difference between Zamindari system or permanent settlement you can say and Mehalwari system. Like in Zamindari system or permanent settlement, Zamindar were the head and they were given the right of collection taxes. Means Zamindar had the right of collection taxes, but in Mehalwari system, village headman, who was also known as Mukhiya. Yes, village headman or Mukhiya was appointed and he had given the right of collection taxes. Means in Mehalwari system the village headman collected the taxes from all farmers and paid these taxes to the East India Company. So understood the first difference between Zamindari system and Mehalwari. In Zamindari system, Zamindar collected the taxes from the farmer and paid to the company, and in Mehalwari system, village headman collected the taxes from the farmers and paid to the East India Company. Next, land taxes were not fixed permanently and could be changed. Yes, this is the second difference between permanent settlement and Mehalwari system. Yes, like in permanent settlement, the taxes amount was fixed. Okay, but in Mehalwari it was not fixed. Like if there was a situation of drought or the less productions, at that time the farmer had to pay less, and in the good yield or good production the farmer had to pay more. But in Zamindari system, in both condition, whether the production was less or more, they had to pay fixed amount. So understood the differences between Mehalwari and Zamindari. Yes. So now actually, so therefore, as we have told that a new system was developed of revenue collection taxes which was known as Mehalwari, and under this system some steps were taken to improve the agriculture conditions. And which were these steps? Actually, first was there, officers went to different villages for inspection of land. Means some officers were appointed and who assigned the work to go from village to village and for inspecting the land. Okay, fields were measured. Customs and rights of the people were recorded, and estimated revenue of each plot within the village was added up to calculate the revenue that each village had to pay. Means the complete areas yield production or crop production under a village and the amount or means they calculate to revenue that each village had to pay, and the revenue was not permanently fixed, it was to be revised time to time. And what was the other difference? The instead of zamindar, the village headman was made responsible of collecting and paying the revenue to the company. Yes, friends, while Mehalwari system of revenue collection was introduced in northern part of the country, in northern India, another method came into use in the southern part of India, and this was known as Rayatwari system or Munro system. But about this system we will discuss in our next lecture. Understood? Yes. Now I will assign you homework. Note down the question answer. For that means the answer of these questions you have to write in your fair notebook. Yes, in which first question is there, describe the main features of permanent settlement. How was the Mehalwari system different from permanent settlement? This is second question. Just I told you that how the Mehalwari system differ from permanent settlement. Name the Governor General of India when the permanent settlement was introduced. Who introduced permanent settlement or zamindari system? Next question, what did the permanent settlement actually mean? Yes. And last question, what problems did zamindar face under the permanent settlement? Understood, students? If you face any problem in the answer of this question, so we will have our discussions in our next lecture. So in this way, our today's lecture is completed. Tomorrow we will meet again with our next lecture in with next topic in next lecture. Thank you.